All right, let's get right into it. We're tackling one of the biggest, most anxiety-inducing questions out there right now. Should you actually buy real estate in Florida in 2025? You've got the dream of sunshine and sandy beaches on one side, and on the other, a market that feels like a beautiful, chaotic, and frankly confusing mess. So let's try to make some sense of it all. Our source for this whole breakdown, a guide from Palm Beach realtor Iryna Talmachova, frames the whole situation with this, let's call it a provocative question. And honestly, it kind of feels like that, doesn't it? A high-stakes game where you're not sure if you should jump in and fight or just, wait for things to settle down or blow up.
And this quote right here, this is why we're doing this explainer. It perfectly sets the tone. There is no simple yes or no answer that's going to work for everyone. But what I can promise is that by the end of this, you'll have the tools and the framework to figure out what the right call is for you.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, the hard numbers. The 2025 Florida market is this wild cocktail of contradictions. You've got some trends that are great news for buyers, mixed with some realities that are, well, they're pretty sobering. First up, $412,000. That's the statewide median sale price for a single-family home. So what does this number really tell us? It means the absolute feeding frenzy of the last few years is over. But, and this is a big but, prices haven't crashed. They've just cooled off. It's still a massive investment. Now this number, this is a huge deal. We're talking about a 24.2% increase in active listings compared to last year. What does that mean for you as a buyer? Choice. It means you have more options and, more importantly, more power to negotiate. For the first time in a long, long time, sellers are the ones feeling a little bit nervous. And here it is, the number that's on everyone's mind, 6.46%. That's the average for a 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, is it better than the terrifying heights of nearly 8% we saw? Yes, absolutely. But it is not the free money era of a few years ago. This is still a major, major factor in what your monthly payment is going to look like. And now we have to talk about the elephant in every single room in Florida, insurance. Just look at this. The national average is about $2,000 a year. The Florida average, almost $9,000. That is more than 4 times the national average. And if you're in a high-risk area, you could be looking at over $15,000. This isn't just another bill. It's a potential deal breaker that can completely wreck your budget. Okay, deep breaths. I know that data dump can feel like a lot. It's overwhelming, but don't panic. Our source gives us a really clear, really practical framework to cut through all that noise and actually make a decision. So let's break down those tools. Think of this as your own personal toolkit for making this call. It really just boils down to 4 brutally honest questions you have to ask yourself. Number 1, can I truly, comfortably afford the monthly payment right now? 2, am I being realistic about the all-in costs? We're talking insurance, taxes, the whole shebang. 3, am I planning to stay put for a while? And 4, do I have some kind of advantage in the specific neighborhood I want to buy in? And this is where that framework gets super practical. The advice is pretty straightforward. You lean towards buying now if that monthly payment works for your budget today, no questions asked. You're also targeting what's called a defensive property. Think newer homes, more storm resistant, and you can get the seller to chip in with some credits. On the other hand, you should probably wait if your whole plan depends on rates dropping in the future or if you're trying to do something speculative. So we have the map, we have the framework. Now let's make it personal. Because the right move really, really depends on who you are as a buyer. So we're going to dive into the specific playbook for 3 totally different types of buyers. First up, this one's for you. The brave souls, the first-time home buyers, trying to get your foot on that property ladder. You are facing, without a doubt, the toughest challenges. But believe it or not, there are also some unique opportunities for you in this market. So why jump in now? Well, the argument is pretty powerful. You finally stop paying your landlord's mortgage and you start building your own equity. And get this, seller concessions are back on the table. Plus, there are programs out there to help with down payments. The whole mindset here is that classic line, marry the house, date the rate. You can always look at refinancing if and when rates come down. But let's be real, the case for waiting is just as strong. That triple whammy of high prices, high rates, and insane insurance makes affordability a massive, massive challenge.
Some folks think prices might get a little softer next year. That insurance market is still a total wild card, and there's a ton of new construction coming that could mean more choices and better deals down the road.
All right, let's shift gears completely. Now we're talking to the investors. For you, this isn't about finding a dream home. It's all about the cold, hard numbers. It's about risk and, of course, the return on your investment. The case for investing now is built on some strong fundamentals. Florida's population is still booming, which means there's a relentless demand for rentals. All that inventory we talked about, for an investor, that's a playground for finding deals, especially in Central and North Florida, where the rental math can still make a lot of sense. And at the end of the day, real estate is a classic way to hedge against inflation. On the flip side, the math right now can be absolutely brutal. High carrying costs, your mortgage, insurance, taxes, can just obliterate your cash flow. Then there's this risk of a shadow inventory, which is basically other investors getting squeezed and being forced to sell, potentially flooding the market. You throw in some general economic uncertainty and, yeah, waiting for a better entry point could be a very, very smart move. And finally, let's talk to those of you chasing that slice of paradise, the vacation spot, the second home. For you, this decision is this unique blend of a huge lifestyle choice and a serious financial calculation. So why buy now? Honestly, because life is short. You could start enjoying your getaways sooner rather than later. Plus, with Florida's tourism breaking records, there's real potential for rental income to help cover the costs. Buying now also means you lock in your little piece of a desirable spot before it potentially gets even more expensive. But here comes the reality check. The true all-in cost of owning a second home can be shockingly high. And in some of those tourist hotspots, the rental market is getting saturated, making it harder to count on that income. And let's not forget, when you own a place in Florida, you're probably going to go to, well, Florida. Waiting a bit keeps your travel options a lot more open. So, after all that data, all those pros, all of those cons, where in the world does that leave us? Let's pull this all together and try to come up with a final verdict, shall we?
I have to say, I absolutely love this metaphor from our source. The market is no longer a wild, raging party for sellers, but it's not exactly a gourmet 5-course meal for buyers either. It's an awkward potluck, and you know what that means, right? If you show up prepared, if you bring a great dish, or in this case, solid financing and a clear strategy, you can have a great time and do really well. But if you show up empty-handed and unprepared, you might go home hungry.
Which, of course, brings us all the way back to the ultimate question. After everything we've looked at, all the different angles, is there one single, definitive, best time to buy real estate in Florida? And there it is. That's the real answer. The big takeaway here isn't about perfectly timing the market, because let's be honest, that's impossible. It's about time in your life. All the data, the frameworks, the playbooks we went through, they're just tools to help you figure out if you are ready. When you have stability in your life, a solid financial footing, and a long-term plan, that is your best time to buy.